what we're following this morning is about the state capture inquiry, which continues today. Acting GCIS boss Phumla Williams will be resuming her testimony. Last week, she told the inquiry about her strained relationship with the former Communications Minister, Faith Muthambi. My colleague, Michelle Craig, is today following that inquiry and is joining us now live from Parktown. Michelle, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us on Morning News today, this morning, this Monday morning. Can we just recap for our viewers, what has Phumla Williams said so far at the inquiry?
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Brada, and a very good morning to you and our viewers as well. Coming to you from a rather blistery and windy Parktown in Johannesburg, which of course is the venue of the state capture inquiry. You are right, Phumla Williams, the acting head of government communications, is back on the stand today. She will continue her testimony. I mean, I must say, the past altogether 6 days of the inquiry that we have seen have revealed things that we have known, that have been in the media before, but it's been no less shocking. We've heard from Themba Maseko, who was the previous head of government communications, outlining what we knew as well around that 600, or rather around that discussion he had with Ajay Gupta in terms of redirecting government funding to Gupta-owned media companies. Some scathing and some shocking revelations once again coming to the fore. Of course, this time he was giving this testimony under oath here at the Commission. And Phumla Williams really reiterating what Themba Maseko said about that time at government communications, where there was this reshuffle of heads of government communications. She, I must point out, has been the acting head of GCIS for a total of 6 years, Brada, and that period between 2011, 2012 and 2018. When Themba Maseko left, he had just left the building, she testified, when Jimmy Money was reported to have been in the basement of the GCIS building, and he was effectively taking over the reins. Themba Maseko's chair wasn't even cold yet, and Jimmy Money was in the building and preparing to take over the reins from GCIS. His arrival came with a whole range of really drastic changes at GCIS. Among others, it was the reconstitution of the bid adjudication committee, packed with people, Phumla Williams told us, who didn't have the necessary training. The other change that was very important to note was that Jimmy Money would handle the processing of tenders, which had previously done by Williams as chairperson of that bid adjudication committee, and that the media buying unit responsible for selecting newspaper, TV and radio channels for audiences would now report directly to Jimmy Money. Now you will note, Bradan, that during that time between 2011 and 2018, it was revealed at the committee that 55 million rand was channeled from GCIS to various Gupta-owned media companies. 55 rand in media budget was channeled to TNA Breakfasts, to ANN7, to the TNA newspaper, those newspaper and TV channels now defunct. The Guptas apparently using very strangely placed people to channel 55 million of taxpayers' money that was in that 600 million GCIS budget through to media-owned companies. Now, speaking of Jimmy Money and GCIS, Bradan, it was during Phumla Williams' testimony that she apparently received a text message from Jimmy Money during the tea break on Friday, and she immediately brought it to the attention of Justice Raymond Zondo, who is chairing this commission. He was not happy with Jimmy Money trying to apparently interfere with witnesses. He instructed his team to investigate, and of course, as Phumla Williams continues her testimony today, Justice Zondo has instructed his team to report back to the Commission on that issue this morning.
Okay, well, that testimony will be continuing this morning, as you say there, Michelle. Wonder what more, besides what you've just referred to, will be said. And what do we expect in terms of the program that you may have seen after Phumla Williams, who's likely to be the next witness to be called to testify at the state capture inquiry?
Look, Bradan, we've seen it often before. We saw it with Themba Maseko, where he came back on the stand last week for just a short time, just to wrap up his testimony. Today will be much the same. Phumla Williams will be wrapping up her 2 or 3 days of testimony. There'll be that issue of Jimmy Mani's text message to Phumla Williams. The other issue that Justice Raymond Zondo will also be addressing is whether those who have made applications to the committee to cross-examine witnesses, now that includes the likes of Ajay Gupta and former President Jacob Zuma, that issue will also be dealt with. It must be pointed out that Ajay Gupta has been in touch with the Commission from, I think it's from Dubai. He's been in touch saying that he wants to cross-examine witnesses, but via a Skype link to the Commission. Now we know from the Hawks that there is a warrant of arrest out for Ajay Gupta. The Hawks have confirmed that Ajay Gupta is in fact a fugitive from the law. So if he does land on South African soil, he will be arrested. That we know for sure, although the Hawks have not specified exactly what that warrant of arrest is for, what charges Ajay Gupta will face if indeed he does make it to South Africa and if indeed he is arrested. Ajay Gupta has made it clear that he wants to cross-examine witnesses. He wants to do it from a remote location, saying that he does, quote, not trust the SAPS or the NPA.
Michelle, thank you very much. We'll have to leave it there. That state capture inquiry continuing from some time this morning. Phumla Williams still testifying.